Hello everyone. So today we'll see how to make test cases on Hackerearth. So you have to go to hackerearth.com/recruiter. When you log in, you will see a screen like this. Then you can go to tests, and then here you can see that there is a create test option. Just create a blank test. Then you go to questions, and then you click on create new question. From here you choose programming, and a request to everyone that please refrain yourself from adding the question in the library because we have added the only the placements question there. So you directly add the questions to the test, and here you can just enter the question problem. For example, let's say we are seeing this question given an array nums. We define a running sum of an array as running sum I equals to sum from num0 to num I. A simple question, and then you have to print the running sum of nums. In every question, remember certain things that I have just given this question for example, but there should be an input format, the output format, and one more thing, there should be constraints. Constraints are very important so that the student can form an algorithm that can solve that problem. So here I'm just giving the constraint that n is like 1 to 10 to the power 5 and every number in the array is also like 10 to the power 5. So what we can do is, now we have this problem. So here next thing is input format. This is also very important, in which format you are taking the input. Otherwise the student will get confused that how to take the input, because what happens on Hackerearth is you have an input file and you have an output file, and it matches the output created by the student's program with the output you have provided. So if you have not given the input format and output format, then they will not be able to solve the problem correctly. So input format is first line contains n, the number of integers. So every test case, first line will contain n. The next line contain n space separated integer. And you can specify here of array nums. Output format contains only one line, n space separated integers representing running sum. So it should contain, so now the student knows that their output should only contain n space separated integers, and that integer should represent the running sum. Here they can read the constraint so they can form an algorithm that can work on that. Then you can give an example. Example 1, input is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It means first line is n. So 4 is the number of integers. Then there will be 4 integers, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the output is 1, 3, 6 and 10. And you can optionally give the explanation of the output as well. So running sum is obtained as follows. The first one remains 1. The second becomes 1 plus 2 because we have defined running sum as this, that it should have sum from 0 to I. So here the next becomes 1 plus 2 plus 3, then 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Now you need to form some test cases for this. It is very easy. Number one thing that we need to take care is that all the test cases should be formed in Ubuntu, nowhere else, because when you try to make test cases on Windows, there are certain hidden characters in the text file that are not visible in the Windows when you double click a text file, but when you upload it on Hackerearth, it creates some problems and the input and output files do not match. So always make it in Ubuntu. Here you can open a terminal and then you can use touch command. Touch, and every test case will have two programs. One, you can use any programming language, and I am making two files. One is test.cc and another one is solution.cc. So every problem you are giving, you should have solution for that. And test will create the test cases. Let's see how we will create the input files. You open that file and you write the program. So what we will do is we will use C++ programming's random function to generate random test cases. It is very easy, just see it. First you seed the random function with current time so that every time you run it, it generates different numbers. And for this you need to include C time. If you don't know this, just follow the instructions of your own programming language that you know. So there must be something random function generator in that programming language also. And then the first line is n. So we will create an n and we will make a random. Now the constraint says that n should be between 1 to 10 to the power 5. So here this random number can generate any negative, positive numbers. So what I will do is, if you see this, it is starting from 1 and till it is going to 10 to the power 5. What we can do, we can just take the mod with 99999. Why? Because the upper limit is, let me just put it in comment here, the upper limit is 10 to the power 5 and the lower limit is 1. So what happens is, when you do modulus operation, what it does, suppose you did modulus with m, so it generates from 0 to m minus 1. So any number which you have taken like n mod m, so this modulus operation, this is remainder operation here. So remainder gives you 0 to m minus 1. Whether it is negative or positive, it does not matter, because it gives always a positive number. But when you are using some other programming language, not C++, then you should always check whether the modulus with a negative number is giving a positive or not. In some programming language, it does not give. Now, suppose I want to generate from L to U, from lower limit to upper limit. So first we will see how many numbers will be there in L and U. So L and U, the numbers will be U minus L plus 1. So if we include both L and U, lower limit and upper limit, for example, from 0 to 5, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, total 6 numbers. If we include both 0 and 5. So this will be the total number of numbers. Now, if I do anything mod U minus L plus 1, so it will give you the output from 0 to U minus L. Okay. So from 0 to U minus L. Now, if I add L to this, means the lower limit to this range, then I will get numbers from L to U. Simple. U 0 will map to L. 0 plus L will be L. 1 plus L will be L plus 1. 2 plus L will be L plus 2. U minus L will be U. So this is what we are doing. So first we will do U minus L plus 1. So here you can see that I have done a mistake, because 1 lakh minus 1 plus 1 is 1 lakh only. So it will be 10 to the power 5. And when the modulus operation gives the result, we just add the lower limit. Lower limit is 1. So we'll add it. And now it will give us output from 1 to 10 to the power 5. Now what we have to do, we just print the output, cout n, right? And since the first line only contains n, so we will make a end line here also. Then what we have to do, we have to print n numbers, okay, n numbers from the array. So we can just take a simple loop, and here instead of saving that, I am just doing the same thing, because every number is also from 1 to 1 lakh, I guess. Yes, it is from 1 to 10 to the power 5. So we'll just print it, and we'll print a space. Why space? Because the next line contains n space separated integer, so it should be space separated, and at the end you just print a new line. Now you must be thinking that how to create this in a file. So we just compile the program. So there is a mistake here, it should be double like this, and we just compile it again. Let's see if there is some other error. No. If you just now run this, then it will print everything on the screen. But instead what we want to print it on a file. So we use a redirection operation. So this says that wherever it is open, so it is like here open, so take all the data from a dot out and redirect it to, let's say I am creating input01.txt, the first file. So it has copied there. If you see that this is randomly generated, and this is the second line only, which is not in the next line. Actually it is wrapping up the text so that it is shown on the screen, and you can see that it has created like this big test case with 12,771 integers, and if we would have to create this on our own, it would have taken us a lot of time. So similarly, you can just do 2, 3, 4 and 5. 4 and 5. So what happens is that, as you can see, we have generated 5 test cases here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we need the output as well, right? So here comes the solution.cc. Now here what we have to do, we have to declare n. So the first line is n, and we have to take the input, so c in n. Then what we can create an array as well, and this can be done without array as well. So let's do it like a student would do. So it will create an array, so it will input the array like this, and after this a new for loop. Everything could have been done in one for loop as well, but here, let's, for the sake of this, let's do this. And we can create a new array as well for running sum, and then we can just do running sum I. So here, previous to this, we have to do running sum 0 equals to ARR of 0, and we can start this loop from 1, and this will be running sum I minus 1 plus ARR I. And we can print here as well, because I don't want to make this program any longer. Like this. We can do it here as well. We can just declare 2 variables, and we can check their values, and we can just print them by adding it after taking the input. Okay. And after this, we just print a new line, and then we return 0. Now this is the solution. So we can just try to compile this. So it is compiled, no error there. And we have to run it for one small program so that it does not break. So it is not showing us 0, right? The running sum 0, and it is right because we have started the loop from 1. So here what we can do is we can print it before that, and when we now run it, let's see. Now it is showing us the correct result. Now what you can do is, now we have to use 2 redirection operation. First we have to redirect that. Now here it is open, so whatever the content of input 01, we have to feed it to a.out, and after this, whatever output of this whole things comes after feeding this input 01.txt, that should be redirected to output 01.txt. Simple, and you can do this for every test file. And now you can see that you have all input files and all output files. Apart from this, create 2 more files. So you can just write touch sample in.txt and sample out.txt. In sample in, just write the sample input which you have taken example also, and sample out you can create here as well, a.out sample in.txt to sample out. And now you can see that we have sample out and it is showing the correct result, sample in and sample out. So now what you can do is, you have made this in Ubuntu, so probably you can open in the same browser in Ubuntu, but I use the browser in Windows. So what I can do is, I can just copy the whole input output thing, and I have shared a folder between them. I can create a new folder here, test cases, and I can paste it here. So it is already copied to my Windows. As you can see, it is copied here in the shared folder which I have created. Now what you have to do is, you have to just write running sum, the problem statement name, and you can just copy paste this problem statement from the statement till the constraint, and you can copy the example as well if you want. But we have taken the sample input, so we don't need that. We just paste it here. Then you click on next. Now here it is asking for solution details, so sample input and sample output. So we can go to our shared folder and we can just give sample in to sample input, and sample out to sample output. And then you can, if you want, you can add ideal solution. If you don't want, don't add ideal solution. In the sample exam explanation, you can just copy paste the whole thing here and it can be explained, or you can just paste the explanation, because when the question shows up, it will automatically show sample input and sample output. After this, you can add test cases, add input file, so input1.txt, output1.txt, and you can store them. Let's say it's for two score. Don't want to give explanation, okay, don't give it. Just make sure that this is off so that the test case is not visible to students. Then input 2, output 2, maximum score, let's say 2 only. Make sure the input and output files are correct. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult, because there will be some problems. If the suppose you have inputted input 3 and output for some other file, then it will create a lot of problem. Because even if the student's input output is same, because it's not AI here, it is simple machine just matching two things, so it should be exactly same. Or in input file, do not upload the output file, it does not know what is input, what is output, so it simply does this. So now I have given this code. Make sure that this is 1, the time limit is 1, because 5 seconds is too much on the server as well, and every program that we give can be completed in 1 second time. And then you can click on next, it uploads the test cases. Now here you can select the languages that you are allowing. Suppose you want them to work only in C, C++, so check all versions of C++. Then you want them to work on Java as well, so you can check all the versions of Java that is relevant to your program, or Python. Or if you want to allow them in any programming language, you just select all. Okay, then you press next. There is editorial, you don't need to publish any editorial, because anyhow it will not be shown to students. And then one thing you do, you just click on try question. On the try question, select the programming language in which you have made the problem and just copy paste your solution here. So it is not copying because copy paste is disabled. Now you just enable copy paste from here for the time being. Before publishing the test, you can do anything. And then you refresh this page, just reload it. Don't worry, your time will not be up until you close this tab, and then you do this. And then first click on compile and test. It will only test with the sample test cases. So sample test case passed, and then you click on submit to check if any test case is going out of the limit. If it is, then we have to reduce the limit. Now it is accepted here, and you can see that even on this big test case, it is taking only 0.1 second, right? And it is showing that it is accepted. So it means that the submission is accepted. And here the student can see what they have submitted. They can also check their code and do anything they want there. Okay. Here you can see that I don't have to copy paste the explanation. Here it is sample input is given and sample output is given, and it is showing the running sum as follows. Okay. This is the easiest way to create some input output files. But what happens is sometimes there are some corner cases that needs to be taken care of. So what you can do is you can create a new input file for that corner cases and use your program to create the output file in the same manner. If you have any queries related to this, please write the query in the group, or you can ping me as well. But it would be better if you write the query in the group, because it may happen that the same query is for different people, and in the group everyone's query will be resolved. Thank you.